Back in the late 80s, I lived in a small town, just a couple of hundred people. I was 10, best friends with the kid next door, Andy. One morning, I went over like I always did, but his mom told me he was sick, so no playing today. I just went home, didn't think much of it. Next morning, my mom sat me down and told me Andy had died. Later, I found out what happened. It started with a bad headache. He was crying, holding his head all day. His parents tried all kinds of home remedies, waited too long to get help. Finally, around evening, they sent someone to town to find the doctor. We had one nurse in town, but she could only handle minor stuff. Andy got worse fast. By the time the nurse saw him, she said he couldn't be moved, he was too weak. His dad didn't listen, jumped in his old station wagon and drove out to get a real doctor himself. Figured he could bring him back faster than waiting for an ambulance. They came back late that night. The dad and the doctor, both pale, shaken. People said they looked like they'd seen something awful. They had. On the drive back, about 5 miles from town, out by the empty fields, they saw something in the rearview mirror. At first, just a dark shape keeping pace with the car. Then, in the moonlight, they could make it out. A person, no head. Running after them, just 100 feet behind. Both of them saw it. No way it was a trick of the light. And it was huge, even without a head. At least 8 feet tall, maybe more. The dad floored it. The thing didn't stop, but eventually, it faded into the dark. They didn't talk about it when they got back. They just focused on Andy. Doctor gave him shots, hooked him up to an IV, said he had to be moved real slow, made a stretcher out of blankets. They got him in the car. Halfway to town, he woke up for the first time in hours. Couldn't talk, but he kept lifting his right arm, pointing behind them. Wouldn't stop. The dad and the doctor kept checking the road in the mirrors, scared out of their minds. But there was nothing there. Andy kept pointing, eyes wide, until he suddenly stopped moving. By the time they checked him, he was already gone. That road? People say they still see something out there sometimes. A tall shadow in the fields, moving fast, keeping pace with the cars. No one ever stops to check.